As an engineering major, I sort of had the option of either doing Lit Hum, CC, or taking 2 global cores. And I decided to take the global core route just because I was familiar with a lot of the content and Lit Hum and contemporary civilization. And I wanted to expand my awareness of critical texts of different countries. So I think my selection of global core classes was pretty important in regards to sort of my experience with the core in general and what I got out of it, just because it was limited pretty much to those 2 courses.
What was your other course?
East Asian Buddhism.
I mean, I sort of looked back on my experience with the core, and my 2 favorite courses from that were the very beginning ones, Lit Hum and then CC. And what I liked about both of those was both that you had to engage with so many texts, across such a broad historical time frame, and that from that you sort of learn how to form patterns in your mind and how to recognize them across texts, across genres, across all these things. So what I did then in choosing my global course was taking that idea of text and pattern finding and then trying to fit it somewhat within my area of specialization, which is medieval literature, so sort of taking things within my own time period, but then expanding not across time, but east-west, so here with east-west range on narratives. And then my previous semester doing major texts of the Middle East and East India, things like this. So,
cool. Thank you.
I mean, I've taken a lot of literature classes here, so I was comfortable stepping into this course. But what I found to be most rewarding about the core curriculum and the way that the 2 foundational courses, Lit Hum and contemporary civilization, interact with the rest of the courses is, while ostensibly they're a literature course and a philosophy course, they're not, you're not learning how to do literary analysis. You're not learning, about the deep roots of philosophy. We're discussing these texts as they relate to people, to our lives. I think that kind of and those 2 foundational courses have informed not only my work in this course, but also all of the other courses that I've taken here. They're having a command of those texts, a familiarity with them. Makes a lot of other courses much more rewarding because you understand a lot of the scholarly basis that the things that you're studying have come out of. But I think the last question that you presented us with, should a core curriculum focus on the development of moral character is really relevant to my experience with the core, because I feel like in all of these classes there's discussion of morality and what's right and what's wrong and how, but I feel like the important thing for me is that it hasn't been prescriptive. It hasn't been, the core is not about telling you what's right and wrong. It's giving you the tools to discuss it. It's showing you how people throughout time, throughout Western history, have conceived of right and wrong, and it's kind of left up to you and your peers to discuss it and to decide what you think about it, which has been a fantastic experience for me. I think that I've definitely changed a lot and learned a lot about how I feel about things through my discussions, not only in class but outside of class with all the students here who have taken the same courses.
Thank you. Lily?
I definitely agree with Carly about sort of the core not being a prescriptive judgment on morality, and I think that's for me too, that's been really important. I think something that when I read that question, I guess I hadn't even really thought about whether or not classes or texts should be prescriptive, because I just don't think that if you look at the history of Western culture or Eastern culture or just cultures in general, morality is a very fluid thing. It's not black and white. It's never been black and white. And that's why it's so interesting to sort of think about and talk about, because even in some of the stories that we were talking about today or that we've read in class, you can understand why certain characters would act the way that they do, even if you don't agree with them. And there's sort of that nuance in different texts that we've read and that you can apply to sort of your everyday life, where in a lot of situations, there's never just like one right answer, and just to be able to think through like what the implications of decisions are is, I think, to me, like more important than like the question of like what is the right decision, which just feels sort of very reductive.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was interested by the development more character question as well, because I've been thinking about this more and more, and I think it's almost something that it's not really escapable when you're reading a vast quantity of text, whether they're literary, philosophical, whatever they are, that you're going to, like you said, sort of come up with these questions and realize, okay, at the heart, we sort of always end up thinking about morals in the sense of, at least, how do we engage with other human beings? That's generally what you're working through anytime you're looking at a text. And you're right, it's not going to be prescriptive necessarily, and text necessarily should not be chosen in that way. This is how you should be as a person, rather like encourage you to think about that. And I think that points to question number 6, what is the purpose of the core curriculum? And for me, it's sort of always been the idea that, once you fulfill the basic necessities of life, once you have like food, shelter, water, whatever, what do you do then? How do you fill your leisure time? How do you live? What is it that you do to make life meaningful? And sort of that, I think, is the function of the core, and that it sets up, here are how people have dealt with this through the ages. Here are how people have come up with ideas, and ideas are the thing that you can latch onto, whether it's in like a philosophical sense or like religious sense. Those are like the transcendent things that sort of make all the basic necessities meaningful and necessary.
Thank you. Miriam.
I think on that note, it's the core for me at least has given provided me with a way of thinking and approaching different ideas that I hadn't been exposed to before. And honestly, whether or not I remember a specific detail from a specific work, it seems less important to me than the fact that I have a greater understanding for how to talk about something that I'm not familiar with. And there's less fear of engaging with different topics because because you've done it before with the core, that you will eventually understand it, or you'll have some enlightened appreciation for it that you didn't have before.
Thank you. So, yes, Christopher. go ahead.
I would like to say that it does seem like the core functions as a framing device for curriculum. That's how I feel. Yeah, it connects all the everything else. At times, it makes my education a little blurry. Like sometimes I'm not sure where I read or what in which class. That's a good thing, I think, though. It really unifies my experience here.
Yes, no, I think you're right. So Lily, go
Sorry, I
ahead.
just have one last thing to add. I think that the idea of like putting together a curriculum or like a syllabus in which the texts are chosen like with the idea that you are supposed to think a certain way actually like sort of goes against the essence of the core for me, which is all about like asking questions and like sort of like a lot of the texts that we read, like we're not supposed to just take them at face value, but we're supposed to really think about like what are the questions that are underlying this philosophic text or this literary text. I think something that I've gotten just out of the core is never sort of settling for whatever is being just like told to you, or like you can read something and you could just sort of accept it as it is, or you could think about sort of like what it's trying to say or not say, or argue or not argue. And I think that that's been really valuable to me in the last 4 years.
Yes, you were good.
Well, Mary also mentioned, and so that it really doesn't matter necessarily whether or not you remember exactly what someone said 10 years down the road or later after you've taken the course. What's important is that you're sort of exercising this muscle in a way, like you're sort of developing this audacity to disagree with certain people, or just to formulate your opinions and your beliefs in a succinct way to back up what you believe, which I think is something we could all use, that we all need. So I mean, just the act of doing that, I think, is just one of the most important things of all. So,
Great. Yes,
It's
Lila.
said so well already, but I just wanted to add that something that I've taken from the core is that every single idea that I had, whether it be about religion, social beliefs, or I don't know, about anything has been like rigorously questioned, scrutinized, and like I've been like pushed to ask why, and it's always in these texts that I like the professor asks, okay, why now? And then like there were times, especially in contemporary civilizations, where I just like go out just so confused and sometimes very upset. But it's good for me, you know, like there were like it would happen almost. So I have 2 days a week where that would like I have that feeling, and it's what he said. Like I'm exercising this part of my brain that I actually never did in high school. Well, I have, but like not this much. And so in a way, it's I learned that I learned to ask more, to question, and not just about what I read, but about my life as well, what I believe in. And then I finally came to the conclusion that there is no black and white. And for me, that really is, it might seem simple, but just one of the most powerful things that I've ever learned. That everything is gray. That what was right used to be wrong. What is right now will be wrong sometime in the future, or something like that. And that's just extremely powerful for me. And I think it has completely changed the way I think and how I think about my life and what I want to do. And
Thank you. Kyle?
One thing that I think the core has really done for me, especially Lit Hum and CC, as well as courses like this, where it's not a lecture, it's a discussion where you're not sitting taking notes on something that a professor is telling you, which I've gotten a lot out of courses like that. But on the other hand, I think that being given the opportunity to engage directly with other students and to discuss the ideas with each other and not just with a professor has for me fostered being comfortable with discussing ideas with other people, which I don't think is something that I necessarily was comfortable doing before. And I think that it's an incredibly valuable thing to be able to do, to engage with other people, not just on a superficial social level, but like really deeply questioning ideas and philosophy and literature. Like it's fantastic, and I'm so glad that I have this opportunity.
Thank you. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you.